All right, y'all. So we give praise, esteem, and honor to the Most High YAHUAH in the name of YAHUSHA HaMashiach this day. Get this John chapter 5 and verse 39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and there are they which testify of me. You won't come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you that you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. Another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe and receive honor one of another and seek not the honor that comes from Elohim only? I think that I'll accuse you to Abba. There's one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. For had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how should you believe my words? So last week we were talking about the conforming and things of that nature, and those things will be sprinkled in the midst of what we're going. But we're going to go back to continuing in the journey of the things that we were discussing that was in the book of Ezekiel, and also what we were discussing in the book of Ezekiel. I stated that if you permits, that we would deal with anything in the text that deals with scripture-wise about our return. So with that being said, let's take ourselves back to Proverbs chapter 15 and still dealing with what we're dealing with in Proverbs 15. And we still have to be able to, some one way or another, take three different concepts and work them in together and make them harmonious. But Proverbs 15 and 26. Or 25, excuse me. I'm saying 26, 25. Proverbs 15, 25. Yahuwah will destroy the house of the proud, but he will establish the border of the widow. So, with that being said, let's take a look at Nahum chapter 1, if we would. Nahum chapter 1 will deal with him destroying the house of the proud and them establishing the widow. Because, well, we ceased that in Ezekiel, and we have completed chapters 33, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 40. So we're at 41. So we've done chapters 33 through 40. So we still have 41 to 48. But we need to hit some other stuff before we get to 41 to make 41 even be relevant. And we still have to get with the sons of Zadok. And this we will do if Yahuwah allows it. Nahum chapter 1. Where do I feel like that we ought to begin? Nahum chapter 1. And we'll begin at verse 1, I suppose. Nahum 1 and 1. And it says, the bird of Nineveh, the book of the vision of Nahum, the Elkoshalite. Elohim is jealous. Yahuwah revenge, and is furious. Yahuwah will take vengeance on his adversaries, and he reserved wrath for his enemies. Now, we've talked about things of that nature with the beast and things like that. I think we mentioned a while back, Isaiah chapter 2, I say the people will go into the mountains and ask for the rocks to fall on them. The same thing you see in Revelation, hide us from the wrath of him that sit upon the throne and the wrath of the Lamb, because vengeance is reserved. But we will refresh your memory. Well, we only have to read it. You could go get it for yourself in 2 Thessalonians chapter 1, I believe. Where he tells you that Elohim delights in bringing forth vengeance on those who trouble you, because this is why he will be destroying the house of the proud. But we will take a look at this, and I'll read it again because I feel that it needs to be reiterated. The book of Revelation. Book of Revelation. I want to say about chapter 7. Is it chapter 7? Is it chapter 8? It is chapter 9. It is chapter 9. 19. And it's just about the thing. Matter of fact, hold on, Paul. 2 Timothy chapter 3. From 2 Timothy chapter 3 to Isaiah chapter 3. And from Isaiah chapter 3, then Revelation chapter 9. 2 Timothy chapter 2 Timothy chapter 3 and verse 1. 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 1. Then I want to say the book of Isaiah chapter 3, probably about verse 7. And in Revelation chapter 9, about verse 18, verse 17, something of that sort. 2 Timothy chapter 3 and verse 1. This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unkadash, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasure more than lovers of Elohim, having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof, from such turn away. Now, I'm just going to give you the Greek definitions of some of these words here for clarity's sake. Give me a moment. I wasn't anticipating doing it, but now I'll sit back and look at it and say it would be wise for us to go ahead and do so. That first one that I want you to understand is incontinent. That word is akarates. That's someone who has lax self-control. Now, of course, you know that living in the society that we live in, especially, that most people lack self-control. So when you look at it in the times of this nature, see Paul. Now, in the book of Proverbs, it tells you that a man who has no rule over his spirit is like a city broken down without walls. So this is why he say, from such they profess godliness, but they deny the power thereof. Because you have the power in the stake of Mashiach, because he denied himself and he sacrificed himself upon the stake. We just read that. He humbled himself, even unto death, even the death of the stake. And he was exalted and given a name above all names, that in the name of Yahushua that every knee should bow. So when you look at that, being a person who has a lack of self-control is not good. So let's take a look at that and what that also that leads to. Because he also stated that people are without natural affection. That word is astrogos, and that is someone who is unsociable and does not have affection toward, or kind-hearted, or is hard-hearted towards kindred. So you could take that and say what he told you in John, which is hating your brother in your heart without a cause, which would make you a murderer, which would be the violation of Leviticus chapter 19, that you bear a grudge against the children of your people. Let's continue. When we look at despisers of those that are good, that word there is aphilogothos, and that is someone who is opposed to good men or goodness. They're opposed to righteous men. They're opposed to righteousness. Remember, one of the attributes of Yahuwah is that he's abundant in goodness and truth. So the key thing is that these individuals, a lot of these things encompass one thing, and that's a hatred towards Yahuwah, which is also pride. But let's continue. Let's look at heady and high-minded. The word heady is propetis. That is someone who is rash and reckless. So when you look at someone who is heady, they are reckless. They are rash, which means what? They are impulsive. 9 times out of 10, that means if someone is rash or reckless, that means they are emotional. See, and we've mentioned these things from time to time, but it seems that some people have a hard time of understanding. It is not good to be emotional. That doesn't mean that it's not good to have emotions, because there's a difference. And if you're a grown person and you don't understand the difference between being emotional and having emotions, then you have a severe lack of understanding. Individuals emotional is led by their emotions, i.e., you would be akin to a child and a woman. Shalom. You would be akin to a child and a woman when you are emotional, because you'll be led by your emotions, which will cause you to be rash and reckless. Bottom line. Because why do we say this? Because in Ephesians chapter, so anyone who has died with Mashiach is not led by their emotions. As you can read in the book of Ezekiel, of which Paul stated in Romans chapter 8, that those who are led by the Ruach of Elohim are the sons of Elohim. No one who is led by Elohim is led by their emotions, period. Because Yahuwah does not have emotions. He is not a man. He is not governed by the dictates of the flesh. So if you are born again, there's no way that you should be led by your emotions. There's a difference from having emotions and being led by your emotions. See, you can be sad. But like it says, if you have no control over your spirit, then you'll be led by your sadness. Therefore, through your sadness, you may harm someone. You may harm yourself. You can be angry. The book tells you this. Be angry, sin not. But if you're angry and you're led by anger, and the book of Proverbs tell you that anger rests in the bosom of fools, you know what I'm saying? And that Yahuwah is slow to anger, that if you operate off of anger, which is an emotion, you can slay someone. which would mean that you would be intemperate or incontinent, and you would lack self-control, which is not a fruit of the Ruach to be intemperate, because one of the fruits of the word is to have self-control. Understand? And these are very, very simple things to understand. Very, very simple things to understand. Not difficult in least bit. We know the word say the word is simple. The word for high-minded is to fool, and that is to be pride or to render foolish or stupid or someone who is puffed up. Now, we also know that the book tells us in the scripture that Yahuwah resists the proud, and he gives grace unto the humble. So there's no way that we can receive the Ruach HaKodesh and be filled with pride. Children, you're entirely too loud. You're being disrespectful. Thank you. It don't take all that. If you're doing all that playing, that means you ain't eating. And if you ain't eating, that means you're not hungry. And if you're not hungry, that means it's time to go to bed. Now let's look at the last one, of course, lovers of pleasure. And these things are self-explanatory in English, but it's always better for us to see what it means in the language that it was written in. And of course, for the lovers of pleasure, it's just simple, lovers of pleasure. So when you come to this, individuals operate in this fashion, which we see they want to have a form of godliness. Now we have to use context. He wasn't talking to Christians at this time because there were no Christians on the earth. He was writing to people who were professing to be followers of the way and having the faith of Mashiach, that they were conducting themselves in this fashion. So we have to understand that if it was that way then, it will be that way now. And it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But he said he will destroy the house of the proud. Why do we look at all these things? Because these people are the enemies of Yahuwah. They are his enemies. They are his adversaries. Let's continue the book of Isaiah, the 3rd chapter. Now let's look at a statement. Some of you should know what we're finna look at, if you can catch the theme of what we're reading. I want to say 3. 3 and 7 is fine. 3 and 7 is fine. 3 and 7 is fine. 3 and 6, actually. The book of Isaiah, the 3rd chapter, and the 6th verse. Isaiah 3 and 6. And this is what it says. When a man shall take hold of his brother of the house of his father, saying, you have clothing, you are ruler, let this ruin be under your hand. And that day shall he swear, saying, I will not be a healer, for in my house is neither bread nor clothing. Make me not a ruler of the people. For Jerusalem is ruined. Yehudah is fallen, because their tongue and their doings are against Yahuwah, to provoke the eyes of his esteem. Now let's just sit here and take a pause. Why are we looking at this here? Because what we're going to look at in Proverbs 15 and 25 is twofold. House of the proud which Yahuwah destroyed is Yasharal, and the border of the widow that he will establish is Yasharal. It's not this group of people over here. It's not this group of people over there. We could take it on the micro level, and we could point that and say that this is the scribes and Pharisees who slayed him, and that widow or those who are born of Mashiach or his wife, and he will establish them in the land, and we, Yah willing, we will do both. Because that is just a micro and it's a micro. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, that's to us. So we have to sit back and look at it. We can't say the text is to us, and then when we see certain things, point at other people. The reason why we do that is because we want to play the victim. You can't play the victim for situations and circumstances that we created, because then you will not sit down and devise a solution to be able to fix the situation that you created. If you know that you created a situation, then you have to take accountability for it and sit down and figure out the solution which will correct that problem. The problem that has been the problem with these people from the beginning is that you have a heart that is as concrete towards Yahuwah. Your heart's hard. Your ears are dull of hearing and your eyes don't see. So therefore his word cannot penetrate. Therefore you cannot understand. And since you cannot understand, you cannot be transformed. And since you cannot be transformed, you will not enter into his city. Now, why would we allow that to happen to ourselves? We already went through that when we went through Ezekiel 33. That should not occur. That should not occur. There's not a single solitary reason on this earth why any man or woman should not turn to Yahuwah, other than the fact that you have a proud heart. Period. You don't want to do it. You don't believe what he says. You don't have a desire for the reward. You don't have the patience to endure to receive the reward, because it's not that important to you. As he wrote about Moses in the epistle to the Hebrews, As a matter of fact, let's just get that real quick because I felt like I was finished misquoting, and I don't want to do the man an injustice by not uttering his words in the correct fashion. So come over here to Hebrews chapter 11. Hebrews chapter 11. Hey, Hebrews 11 and 23. If I got to tell you one more time, I promise you're going to get into bed. Hey, did you hear what I said, though? So I suggest you eat your food and stop playing, or you will have sleep for dinner. You can dream about the food that's on your plate that you should have been sitting there eating. Hebrews 11 and 23. By faith, Moses, when he was born, was hid 3 months of his parents because they saw he was a proper child, and they were not afraid of the king's commandment. By faith, Moses, when he was come to years, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of Elohim than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season, esteeming the reproach of Mashiach greater riches than the treasures in Mizraim, for he had respect unto the recompense of the reward. By faith he forsook Mizraim, not fearing the wrath of the king, for he endured as seeing him who is invisible. Notice that he said he had respect unto the recompense of the reward. A lot of people don't have respect unto the recompense of the reward. And as Mashiach stated in Matthew 13, that's why by and by when tribulation or persecution arise because of the word, they are offended. You know what I'm saying? They are offended. At the end of the day, the word tells us, if Yahuwah be with us, what should I fear about what man will do to me? And I don't care nothing about what these people got going on out here. Truth be told, never had, never will. Wasn't thoroughly concerned about it before the word, and certainly not concerned with it now. I don't care if the people got bombs. I don't care if the people got 1,000,000 guns. At the end of the day, all they can do is kill the body, and after that, ain't nothing else they can do. Ain't nothing else they can do. Shalom, man. Ain't nothing else they can do. I could care less. You know what I'm talking about? Because at the end of the day, I'm laboring for a resurrection from the dead. I'm not concerned with them people. Them sinner problems. I don't get caught up in the problems of sinners. That's none of my problem. Book of Proverbs tell you that the way of transgressions is hard. So what do you expect? It's hard to be a sinner, man. That don't look like, see, on the outside looking in for these sinners, it look like their life good. The way of transgressions is hard. Yahuwah said what he said. It is what it is. It's going to be what it's going to be. Because it look good for them now don't mean it's going to be good for them later. You know what I'm saying? That's why he told his people. We read that other damn Proverbs 20, don't let your heart envy no sinners. He said, my son, let your heart receive wisdom. Pay attention to what I'm telling you. Pay attention. That's why he told you, don't mess with them whores, man. They increase the transgressions of men. Take it how you want. That's whether you're looking at a natural whore or you're looking at a spiritual whore. Take it how you want. You know what I mean? Take it how you want. You can get caught up in a lot of things, going in a lot of different directions because you don't listen. And you don't listen because you don't have self-control. You don't have self-control because you're proud, because you want to do what you want to do. So since you want to do what you want to do, he said, I got a trick for you. I'm going to just smash everything. That's what I'm going to do. Yahuwah don't play. He said, like a lot of people, they look at it, why he ain't doing this and why he ain't doing that. You got to remember, he sat still for a long time when he was in Egypt. Why do you think it's any different now? He sat still. Truth be told, nobody don't want him to move. Because when he moves, it's going to be ugly. You don't want him to move. You don't want him to move. You want him to sit still. Because when he's sitting still, that means everybody has an opportunity to repent and be sealed with the Ruach HaKodesh. So you want him to take as long as he possibly desires. Because when this man come back here, ain't nothing to talk about. If you're not right, you're out of here. If your name ain't in the book, your reservation is denied. Ain't no coming in talking about, oh, no, it's over with. We don't have that thought process. I know you feel like, oh, we being oppressed, this, that, and the third. I get it. I understand. But the Lord told you, but when he come back, will he find faith on the earth? He said, yeah, I hear you. He already told you, I'm going to avenge you speedily. So that shouldn't even be your concern. See, this is the thing when he make promises, these promises supposed to comfort your soul. I remember I told you that years ago. When I first started dealing with the word, man, my homegirl Bianca, man, I went to school with her. So I've known about doggone 20 years. You know what I'm talking about? So when I'm telling her, I said, you know what I read this Michael said another day? I said, it comfort my soul. She said, what did it say? I share it with you if y'all don't know what it said. This is what I told her. I said, this comfort my soul. I hadn't even been in the word probably about a good year, but I believed every single solitary thing he promised. No wavering, no doubts, no nothing. I believe that from the first day. I was all in after that. It's time to just go ahead and roll. All the other stuff irrelevant. I thank the Lord for it, because he could have let me hear it and be a big old dummy. But he chose not to. 7 and 15. Micah 7 and 15. Hey, come here, son. Come here. Okay. You finish your food? Yeah. Very well, sir. Continue. Okay. Micah 7 and 15. According to the days of your commandment out of the land of Israel, will I show unto him marvelous things. So listen to what he says. Look at the first thing that's coming out of prophet Micah's mouth on a promise. According to the days of your coming out of the land of Egypt, will I show unto you marvelous things. For those of you who are learned in the area, you know that many of the plagues that are in the book of Revelation are the exact same plagues that he dropped in Egypt. The exact same thing. And y'all, many of you here should already know that he said he was going to do this so that the whole world know that this is the living Elohim, the Elohim of Yasharal, the Elohim who created heaven and earth. Yahuwah of hosts is his name, coming through, wind the clouds of heaven, with the host of heaven with him, to smash, dash, and crash all the ungodly without question, without no hesitation or respect of persons. You know what I'm saying? Period. And he's letting you know this. So if you know that's what he did for your forefathers in Egypt, then your heart should rest comfortably knowing that he's going to do it again. That it shouldn't even be a doubt or thought in your mind that he's not going to do it again. If he said it, why is he not going to do it? If he wasn't going to do it, he wouldn't have said it. That's simple. That's just point blank, period. But continue. The nations shall see and be confounded at all their might. They shall lay their hand upon their mouth, and their ears shall be deaf. They shall lick the dust like a serpent. They shall move out of their holes like the worms of the earth. They shall be afraid of YAHUAH Elohim and shall fear because of you. Who is Elohim like unto you? That pardon iniquity and pass by the transgression of the remedy of his heritage. He retained not his anger forever because he delighted in mercy. You know what? I skipped the part. That's my fault. Go back to verse 7. Those are my apologies. But look at the back part. He told you he'll pardon your sin, bring you back into the place because he delighted in mercy. But I'm going to smash these people and they're going to be confounded. See, that comforts my soul. So I don't need to be worried about these people. They're none of my concern. They're none of my concern. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're playing their part. Everybody got a part to play in this story. So let them play their part. Who am I to tell you? Let the book tell you, the book Ecclesiastes, you can't make straight what Elohim done made crooked. Play your role, son. Play your role. Praise the Lord. That's what Jeremiah told Hananiah when he told that bold-faced prophecy lie. He didn't say, nigga, you lying. He said, amen, let y'all bring it to pass. He knew he was lying. Let y'all bring it to pass. He knew he was lying. I ain't gonna sit here arguing with you. I know you're lying. You know what I'm saying? That man say 70 years, that's what it's gonna be. So you want to stand in front of these people and tell them it's gonna be 3 years and they stupid enough to believe them? That's their fault. But then you know you were told to go back around there and tell him I'm gonna kill him because you're teaching rebellion. You're teaching the people not to trust in my word. Nevertheless, Micah 7 and 7. Therefore, I will look unto YAHUAH. I will wait for the Elohim of my salvation. My Elohim will hear me. Rejoice not against me, O my enemy. When I fall, I shall arise, and when I sit in darkness, YAHUAH shall be a light unto me. I will bear the indignation of YAHUAH because I have sinned against him, until he plead my cause and execute judgment for me. He will bring me forth to the light, and I shall behold his righteousness. Then she that is my enemy shall see it. Shame shall cover her, which said unto me, where is YAHUAH your Elohim? My eyes shall behold her. Now she shall be trodden down as the mire of the streets. In the day your walls are to be built, and in that day shall the decree be far removed. Period. That saying you got to worry about it. I bear that. That's on me. I'll do that bit. But just know, you saying where my Elohim at? Don't worry. You'll see him soon enough. And when you see him, he don't want to talk. He ain't coming out to give hugs and kisses and champagne wishes either. Ain't nothing but sword swinging. He don't want to talk. He don't want to talk. You want to be wicked? You want to do what you want to do? Not a problem. Not a problem. You have to have that understanding. It's not a problem. Because at the end of the day, everybody has a choice. And if you want to choose to be wicked, that's fine. It's consequences and repercussions for that. You want to choose to be righteous, that's fine. And it's consequences and repercussions for that. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, shoot. Niggas want to be a faggot, that's your business. You got to answer for it. I'm not going to stamp it. I'm not going to go along with it. I'm not going to tell you it's cool. I ain't finna sit here and berate you or go back and forth with you either. Because clearly, nigga, that's your problem with you. I listened to the day and I hadn't even forgot that. Like the book, the definition of the word queer shows you that these people are retarded. So if a person is telling you that they have a mental deficiency, a mental defect, then you would be the dummy to argue with. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't get somewhere with someone who's mentally disturbed. You know what I'm saying? And when you look at most people who are in the mire of sin and have no desire to get out, see, there's a difference of being mired in sin and then being mired in sin and not having a desire to get out. That's someone with a mental deficiency, a spiritual deficiency. You have to lead them people on. Ain't nothing you can do with them. Ain't nothing you can do with them. You can't do nothing but give them the word, and as Paul stated, and pray that Yahuwah have the ability to turn them from being in the strongholds of the adversary. Because they ain't doing nothing but opposing themselves. But see, I learned that preaching in the street. You ain't gonna get no leading people on. Look at Isaiah. A lot of this stuff I'm telling you, I learned direct, firsthand. You know what I'm saying? You think you want to tell everybody, and everybody gonna do this, that, and the third. Now, of course, I had enough sense to know everybody is not gonna turn. Or you go preaching in that street and you run across different type of people, and you just realize like some people just want to do what they want to do, and that's their thought process, and it's not gonna change. You know what I'm saying? The word ain't for everybody, contrary to popular belief. It's not for everybody. And if you know the word, you know that it's not for everybody. And that's dealing with the house of Yasharal first. It ain't for everybody who's of the seed of Yasharal. It's not for everybody. Everybody don't have a heart for it. Everybody don't have a desire to it. And that's okay. Yahuwah gave everyone their lot and let them walk in it. Isaiah chapter 3 and verse 9. The show of their countenance do witness against them. They shall declare their sin as Sodom. They hide it not. Woe unto their soul, for they have rewarded evil unto themselves. Say you to the righteous that it shall be well with them, for they shall eat the fruit of their doings. Woe unto the wicked, it shall be ill with them, for the reward of their hands shall be given them. Now notice what he said, they declare their sin as Sodom. They don't hide it. That's pride. That's why they call it gay pride and things of this nature, because they lift it up in that area. So you have to understand that. You're dealing with the proud, there's nothing you could do. There's nothing you could do. That's a waste of your energy. You know what I'm saying? It's a waste of their energy. This is why Yahushua told his apostles when the scribes and Pharisees was pissed off at something. He said, you know, they blind leaders of the blind, and if folk be blind, they'll fall in a ditch. He said, leave them alone. Why are they blind? John chapter 9, and then we'll go to Revelation. Why are they blind? And they blind because of their pride. That's why he told them to leave them alone. If you deem that the individual is blinded by their pride, leave them alone. What's the point? You ain't gonna do nothing but frustrate yourself. You ain't frustrating them. I promise you that. 9 and 37. Yeah, just leave them people alone, man. It is what it is. Remember, that's what he said about Pharaoh. He hardened his heart. It wasn't nothing Moses could say that was going to turn Pharaoh's mind from what Yah had said in his heart to do. Yah had already put that pride in his heart. So he was already primed, set, and ready for destruction. Remember what Paul wrote, which is really was nothing but what it is in the book of Exodus, which I'm referring to in that 6th chapter, in the regards of that he had to have his power shown in Pharaoh, because he got vessels made for destruction and he got vessels fitted for mercy. And like he said, who are you to reply against Elohim, old man? Is the thing formed? Say to him that fashion, why have you made me thus? This man do what he will, when he will, how he will, to whomever he will. Who are you to speak against it? You ain't nothing but dust and ashes. What understanding have you given to him? What knowledge have you assisted him with? Where were you at when things were created? For you to dare open your mouth against this man and speak about what he want to do and how he want to do it. I seen somebody say that the other day. Why would he send, again, the thing with the bears? Why would he send bears on children? Because that's what he wanted to do, nigga. You mean? Them children should have watched their mouth. They put their mouth on the wrong person, pause. So they got what they deserved. As far as Yahuwah was concerned, you wanted to curse a man of Elohim? Well, guess what? You spoke a curse against your own head. That's on you. Your daddy should have taught you better. You know what I'm saying? But people don't want to hear that because it's kids. So what? So what? Does that offend you? Does that hurt your feelings? Because he said the children of the wicked made for the sword. Maybe their parents is evil. And maybe that's retribution on their parents' head. You ain't thought about that because you don't know Yahuwah, so that offends you. Huh? You ain't see David around here. Why you killing my son? He knew that child was illegitimate. It was a seed of adultery. Period. Defiled. He said that baby got to die. So be it. So be it. You understand? We trust in you. Who is you to speak against what he do? Well, shoot, if that's what he want to do, pray the Lord. Pray the Lord. What you mean? What you mean? See, you gotta feel, see, you gotta realize we live in a society, you can't talk like that. They get offended. I done talked to plenty of people about that. Dude say, so you mean to tell me you ain't had no problem with him killing them kids? Not damn tap, nigga. You thought I was gonna speak against my God to appease you? Nigga, I don't even know you. I don't know you to appease you. And if I did know you, I still ain't gonna do it. I just told my homeboy this the other day, yesterday to be specific, but it might have been the day before. Told Snake straight up and down, man. Since I was a child, I don't care what nobody thinks about me. And I don't care what anybody says about me. Absolutely don't care. Don't tell me about what a nigga said about me. Don't even tell me what a nigga think about me because I don't care. That junk has no weight or bearing on who I am as an individual. It's not going to change my view of myself. I can care less what a nigga think or say. You know what I'm saying? And if a nigga come at me with something and I don't want to do it, I ain't doing it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to appease you for the sake of your own ego. I'm not going to do it. Refuse to do it. And if that causes you to dislike me, then so be it. Don't make me no never mind. I ain't gonna lose man time to sleep over. I'm gonna still continue about my day and do what it is that I do. See, your life's so much better and peaceful when you don't give two Londons about what a nigga think or say about you. Why do you even care? I don't ask this man that. Why do you care? Nigga said this about me, and so what? So what? I'm not even gonna step to a nigga about something you said about what I look like. That's some whole stuff. I'm a grown man. I'm not stepping to no nigga about it. If you had a problem with me, you would have said it to my face. You would have hit my phone and you would have said it. If you ain't hit my phone and said it to my face, then clearly it ain't no problem. What I look to you stepping to you about what another nigga said, you said. You don't care about that type of junk, man. Go on about your business, handle your business. That's why we can't get nowhere as men, because you're worrying about the wrong thing. Man, fuck what a nigga talking about. But nevertheless, John 9:37. And I tell you this because that's how the Lord operates. You think Yahushua would walk around worrying about what they had to say about him? But who cares? You know what I mean? 9:37. And Yahushua said unto him, you have both seen him, and he it is that talked with you. And he said, Lord, I believe. He worshiped. Yahushua said, for judgment I've come into this world, that they which see not might see, and they which see might be made blind. Some of the Pharisees which were with him heard these words and said unto him, are we blind also? Yahushua said to them, if you were blind, you should have no sin. But now you say, we see, therefore your sin remains. That's pride. That pride was a problem. That would destroy their house. Because the pride was the problem. The pride was the problem. Because they said, we see. So their sin remains. They said, we ain't got no problem. Remember, he showed you that in Luke 18 with the scribe in the center. Say, I'm glad I ain't like these other people. I do this and I do that and I do this. I ain't extortioner. He said, that man, they ain't going to his house justified. You have to watch for that. But Revelation chapter 9. 9:17. Pray the Lord. I was looking at something, man, Ari Spears talking about why he borderline, amen. He borderline atheist. I say that's his problem. He just don't understand the word. I say maybe Yahuwah just ain't gave him a heart to understand the word. Or maybe he had someone come to him and explain the word. Because a lot of things he was saying for somebody who don't understand the word. Because he was like, if God is, he said they got a saying in the church, God is good all the time. He said, well, why wasn't he good when them churches got bombed in Alabama back in the day? Why wasn't he good to save them people from Dylan Roof? Because he don't have understanding. You don't understand it's a dangerous thing not to possess. You know what I'm saying? And I can see why he would think that way. If it be Yahuwah's will, he'll run across somebody, and Yahuwah may be able to impart to him understanding. See, the first thing anybody want to try to impart to him, see, we the Israelites and we were slaves. Man, I'll tell you right now, maybe stop telling niggas they were slaves, man. All of us weren't slaves. Y'all do know that, right? All of us didn't come over here on no boat. All of us weren't slaves. And quite frank, some of y'all might be descendants of people who own slaves. But that's a conversation that people don't want to have. The reason why some of us were slaves, but you don't want to push that narrative. Because pushing that narrative is destructive to the mind. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you've been exiled and bust upside your head because you were disobedient and disbelieving of the only power that exists in the world, and that's Yahuwah of hosts. But just pushing the people that they slaves all the time, that make them play the victim and don't allow them to take power that they got control over their own life, as if some person really has that much control over their life. Are there systems and things that are set in place in this country to be against individuals of a particular skin tone? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, if you say you serve Yahuwah, then what can them people really stop? You know what I'm saying? They really can't stop nothing. A lot of stuff that we don't get done, it don't be the people stopping it, it be Yahuwah stopping it, because it don't be his will. But a lot of us don't want to accept that. You don't want to accept that the thing that you want is against the will of Yahuwah. You know what I'm saying? So you want to put it on somebody else. And that don't necessarily be the case all the time. You know, we gotta be looking for things to be according to Yah's will and not our own desires. Yah's will being accomplished is the most important thing. But at the end of the day, man, you can't be pushing that narrative that you're a slave. Because you'll always think that way, and you'll raise your son to think that way. I would listen to some man, and they struck my head, and I've been heard the story about it. About, you know, they're not calling NBA owners anymore. They're calling them governors and chairmen. And it was like that when people hear owner, they automatically think white man and slave master. And I never once in my entire life heard owner and thought white man or thought slave master, period. I thought of someone who owned and controlled something that generated income, period. Someone who had power and authority. I never thought slave, never crossed my mind, never hit my mind that I hear owner and think slave master. Do you know? So then it caused me to think, like, what would cause an individual's brain to think that way? And the only thing I could come up with is that slave narrative had to be busting your head. Somebody had to keep telling you that through the course of your youth, to where that's where you equated that to, just an emotional response. I can say my mama never sat around and told us we were slaves. Only time I heard anything about us being slaves is when they went to school. You know what I'm saying? And that just didn't resonate with me to grab ownership. There's nothing wrong with being an owner. You have the wherewithal, the stamina, the intelligence, the endurance, the testicular fortitude, if you will, and any other adjective that I seem to be leaving out. And you should seek the desire to own and control any and everything that you do. And I felt like that before the word. So this ain't nothing new. I felt like this in high school. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to work for nobody. I don't want nobody telling me what to do. You know what I'm saying? I don't want my woman being told what to do by any other man other than me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not cool with that. You cool with that? That's fine. I'm speaking for me. I wasn't cool with that. I want to be able to possess and own and control. You get more respect that way. That way I'm not under the dictates of another man. Another man can't dictate anything to me in regards to my life because I own it and control it. You always got it in your mind that you're subservient to another man, and yes, then you always feel like someone can own and control and dominate and dictate your life. The only person who should be dictating your life is Yahuwah, period. Not no man in the flesh to tell you what you can and can't have, what you can and can't do. At that point, you're not a man, you're living on your knees. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't taught to live on my knees, man. You know what I'm saying? You gotta die standing up. Revelation 9 and 17. But make it 18. My apologies. By these three was the third part of men killed by the fire, by the smoke, and by the brimstone which issued out of their mouths. For their power was their mouths and in their tails. For their tails were like unto serpents and had heads whom they do hurt. And with them they do hurt. Excuse me. So, and the rest of the men which were not killed by these plagues yet repented out of the works of their hands, that they should not worship devils, idols of gold, silver, brass, stone, and of wood, which neither can see nor hear nor walk. Neither repented they of their murders, nor of their sorceries, nor of their fornications, nor of their thefts. But what would cause these people not to repent? It would be nothing but their pride. And they declared they sinned openly. They didn't care. So this is why he revenged. That's why he putting revenge on their head right here. But come on back to Nahum. Because y'all know we ain't getting all of this stuff tonight. You willing, you know, this is just the foundation. Y'all willing, you know, we gonna get the conclusion. Well, this might span for 2-3 weeks. It was missed on the spot. Nahum chapter 1 verse 3. Yeah, man. I mean, that just tripped me out. Because I ain't never think about it till the owner thing. Till I was listening to that, man. Dude was talking about that. Never crossed my mind. There's a lot of stuff don't cross my mind till I hear people mention it. because a lot of stuff that my mind doesn't click in that fashion. And that's not to disparage anybody whose mind necessarily does click in that fashion, because everybody's thought processes and perspectives are dictated by their own personal experiences. You know what I'm saying? And everybody's personal experiences are unique to them. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't denigrate anyone because your perspective and personal experience is different from someone else's. You know what I'm saying? It's the ability to sit down and have conversations about different perspectives and experiences is where you can come to a common ground that if there's an issue, that there's a problem, that a solution can be brought forth that can be beneficial to all parties involved. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with that. So I don't want nobody to think because my perspective and experiences were different that there was something wrong with your perspective and experiences. It helps shape who you are. Everybody went through everything they went through and seen everything they seen because it was to help shape who you are at this moment. And you'll continue to have different perspectives and experiences to continue to shape you into the day that you will see fit to return you to the dust. You know what I'm saying? Nevertheless, Nahum chapter 1 and verse 3. Yahuwah is slow to anger, great in power, and will not acquit the wicked, and will not at all acquit the wicked. Yahuwah have his way in the whirlwind and in the storm, and the clouds are the dust of his feet. He rebuke the sea and make it dry, and dry up all the rivers, Ashan language, Carmel, and the flower of Lebanon. If you're not familiar, Book of Revelation, he tell you how the Euphrates will dry up. So Nahum giving you some insight about the things that will occur upon his return. Nevertheless, the mountains quake at him, which you can see that in Zechariah 14. And the earth is burned at his presence, which you can see in Isaiah 51, which you can see in 1 Peter chapter 3, and what we can read in 2 Thessalonians chapter 1. I mean, this is not 1 Peter chapter 3, my apologies. 2 Peter chapter 3, about verses 7, starting about verse 7. And Peter ain't doing nothing but telling you what Isaiah told you. What he told you to look to the heavens above and the earth beneath, and the heavens shall roll away, vanish away like smoke, and the earth shall vanish away like a garment, and everything in between will get burned up in like fashion. And this for the wicked, nevertheless. Yea, the world and all that dwell therein. Excuse me. The mountains quake at him, the hills melt, the earth is burned at his presence. Yea, the world and all that dwell therein. Who can stand before his indignation? Who can abide in the fierceness of his anger? His fury is poured out like fire, and the rocks are thrown down by him. Well, let's look and see who can stand. First and foremost, let's go back to the book of Revelation. Let's look at chapter 5. In the book of Revelation, chapter 5, it's chapter 5 that I desire. It is chapter 6. Chapter 6. 6 and 16, we done already, but we could get 6 and 13, so 6 and 12. Revelation 6 and 12. And then I'm trying to think of what we'll put on this video. After that, Matthew chapter 7. Matthew chapter 7. Matthew 7, about 21. Maybe 20. You know what I mean? But right now, Revelation 6 and 12. We want to look at who can stand in order to get that border passed. Who can stand? We got to look at who can stand. Because this is what Nahum asked, and John is asking the same question. Nevertheless, Revelation 6 and 12. And I beheld when he opened the sixth seal, lo, there was a great earthquake. The sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. Stars of heaven fell into the earth, even as a fig casts her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. And the heavens shall depart as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island will move out of their places. The kings of the earth, the great men, the rich men, the chief captains, the mighty men, every bondman, every free man hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us, hide on us from the face of him that sit on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath is come. Who shall be able to stand? Who gonna be able to stand? Matthew 7 and 20. Let's see who's gonna be able to stand. And you know what? This is giving me a reason to read Job 19, because y'all know that I never need a reason to do it, but when I get a chance to do it, I just always gonna jump on in there. Matthew 7 and 20. Make it 21. 21 is sufficient. Matthew 7 and 21. Praise Yahuwah. Let praise and esteem be redound to his name through the gospel of YAHUAH. Let all men everywhere turn their hearts and minds to Yahuwah, and let their soul be saved. through the Ruach HaKodesh. But nevertheless, not everyone that say unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that do the will of my Abba, which is in heaven. And he will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in your name? And in your name cast out devils, and in your name done many wonderful works. And then I will profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity. Therefore, whosoever hear these sayings of mine and do them, I will liken him unto a wise man which built his house upon a rock. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon the house, and it fell not, because it was founded on a rock. So these are the ones who can say, come over to Psalms 133. Don't even worry about it. Hebrews chapter 12. So the key thing that we see who's going to be able to stand are those who are founded upon. Remember, he said, those that hear my words. Well, faith come by hearing, and hearing come by the word. So you're going to have to hear the gospel of Yahushua. That's the only way you're going to be established, to take us back to being polished as cornerstones after the similitude of a palace. We'll go back and look at that. See, look how the Lord does. Praise the Lord. Look how he does. What was I going? Hebrews 12. Hebrews 12 by 25. Hebrews 12 and 25 back to Psalms 144. And from Psalms 144, Job 19 to 25. Hebrews chapter 12. The epistle of Hebrews chapter 12, verse 25. See that you refuse not him that speak, for they escape not who refuse him that spake on the earth. Much more shall we not escape if we turn away from him that speak from heaven, whose voice then shook the earth. And now he have promised, saying, yet once more I shake not the earth only, but also heaven. Remember, we've already read that when we looked at the book of Haggai in the 2nd chapter. Haggai told you about this as well. And why are we reading all of these things in conjunction with what we've been looking at in Ezekiel and all the prophets pertaining to his return? So you know exactly what it is. So you're not confounded. So you're not shocked. So you're not running after the wrong things, because you would already know what the words say and have understanding. Remember, he said to sing praises to him with understanding. I also told you that if you lack understanding, you're worthy of death. He also told you, get wisdom, but with all you're getting, get understanding. Had an insight into who Yahuwah is, knowing what the will of the Lord is, and having a complete understanding of the execution of his righteousness. You know what I'm saying? That way we won't be out here making fools of ourselves and dishonoring our Elohim by speaking of things or pointing to things that he has not spoken of, therefore making him look like a fool, because people are not going to be able to make the difference that we the fool and not him. Nevertheless. And this word, yes, once more signify the removing of those things that are shaken, as of those things that are made, that those things which cannot be shaken may remain. Wherefore, we receiving a kingdom which cannot be moved, let us have grace whereby we may serve Elohim acceptably with reverence and godly fear. Elohim is a consuming fire. So what does that tell us? Yahushua was not moved. Let me show you how he was not moved. John chapter 19. And then we'll get Job 19. But John chapter 19. Just let me show you how he wasn't moved. It's John 18. My apologies. 18 and 1. After this John 18 and 1, go to Luke 12. You can't let nobody move y'all word. If we not move, who's gonna be able to stand? Those who stand for the word, those who stand for the Lord, they gonna be able to stand. Matter of fact, I got some more just for that point, for who gonna be able to stand. They won't ask the question. Who gonna be able to stand in the day of his wrath? Those who feel with the Ruach HaKodesh, those who not gonna perish. And I think we don't read plenty of that, and all this is dealing with how the house of the proud is destroyed. We'll get to him establishing the border of the widow who are willing on the Shabbat. You know what I'm saying? But you gotta look at that. And we can sit back and look at that in that regard, but I'll do that in a second. John 18 and 1. And when Yahushua had spoken these words, he went forth with his disciples over the brook of Cedron, where was a garden, into which he entered and his disciples. Judas also, which betrayed him, knew the place. For Yahushua all times resorted hither with his disciples. Judas, them having received a band of men and officers from the chief priests and Pharisees, come thither with lanterns and torches and weapons. Listen what it says. Yahushua therefore knowing the things that should come upon him, I already know what's going to happen to him, went forth and said unto him, whom seek you? They answered him, Yahushua Nazareth. Yahushua said unto them, I am he. Judas also, which betrayed him, stood with him. As soon as he said unto them, I am he, they went backward and fell to the ground. Who gonna be able to stand? Now, these wicked people seen him on this day, they weren't able to stand. He was able to stand. Why is he able to stand? Because he said, my Father has given me a commandment, what I should say and what I should speak. So what does that tell you? The same thing that's in Psalms 91, if my memory serves me correctly, that that's the correct psalm, that if enemies come at you, they'll fall down at your feet. And they'll fall 10,000 at your right hand and another 10,000 at your left. So you ain't got no thing to be worried about what these people gonna do. Let them come do what they do. Let them come do what they do. When they came for Stephen, you think Stephen was like, oh, don't kill me. Man, do what you do. He said, I see the esteem of Elohim with Mashiach sitting on his right hand. I'm not concerned with you, cuz. I'm not concerned with you, cuz. Do you believe you're going to resurrect from the dead or not? Because if you believe that, then ain't nothing going to move you nor concern you. No man, woman, or child or force on this earth should be able to move you off the word so you'll stand unto death. And most importantly, and the most beautiful one of them all, that if you stood for Yahuwah all the way to the end, as Paul said, I fought the fight of faith, and you know what I'm talking about, all the way to the end, and the crown's laid up for you. And therefore, as it says by the mouth of the prophet Joel, the nation shall be scared, but he shall be the strength and hope of his people when he come roaring out of Zion. When the sun and moon lose its light, and the heavens roll back. Matter of fact, the Apostle John made that statement. We just read it the other day, that we'll have boldness in the day of judgment because our hearts condemn us not. You know what I'm saying? So you have to look at that in that regard. Who's going to be able to stand? The righteous going to be able to stand. But let's continue. Verse 7, and then he said to them again, whom seek you? And they answered, Yahushua of Nazareth. Yahushua answered, I've told you that I am he. If therefore you seek me, let these go their way. He wasn't worried about it. Who's going to be able to stand? The wicked not going to be able to stand because they were never affixed or attached to Yahuwah. But nevertheless, Job 19, because I never need a reason. But I always look for one, but I'll never need one. Y'all know what it is. 19 and 25. For I know that my Redeemer live, and that he shall stand at the latter day upon the earth. And though after my skin worms destroy this body, yet in my flesh shall I see Elohim, whom I shall see for myself, and my eyes shall behold, and not though my reins be consumed within me. That's who's going to be able to stand. Remember, said the dead and Mashiach going to rise first. He said that we should not be scared and be without hope. As sinners are. Get that First Thessalonians chapter. We shouldn't be walking around here like that. Why we be walking around here like that? That don't make no sense. Niggas scared to die. Oh, I forgot Luke 12. Get Luke 12 for First Thessalonians 4. Niggas out here scared to die. How's that possible? He said he not the Elohim of the dead, he the Elohim of the living. So if you in you, are you dead? Yahushua said, whosoever live and believe him shall never taste death. So do we believe it or not? That's the question. Do you believe what he said or not? Do you have trepidations of death? Probably so. Are you nervous about it? Probably so. You never experienced it. And unfortunately in life, that's one of the only experiences that you're only going to experience once, and you'll never be able to tell anybody how it is. But guess what? You experience, truth be told, you experience it every day. You just happen to wake up. You know what I'm saying? It's no different than that. You just don't wake up and there are no dreams. That's it. Darkness. No thoughts, no nothing. That's all it is. You're not conscious. But if you have the Ruach HaKodesh in you, then you have a type of consciousness in you, if you will, because the breath of Yahuwah exists within you. So therefore, we reanimate you as we dealt with in Ezekiel 37, and put them sinews and them tendons and them bone back together and reanimate your flesh, and you shall stand before his throne to esteem him and praise him all eternity. So every last one of you in your heart and your spirit and with your mouth ought to say, praise be to Yahuwah ever, for his mercy endures forever. Because you know there's an exit. There's an exit from sin and death. It's called Yahushua HaMashiach. Twelve and 4. Book of Luke. And I said unto you, my friends, be not afraid of them that kill the body, and after that, that have no more that they can do. But I will forewarn you whom you shall fear. Fear him which after he have killed have power to cast into hell. Yeah, I say unto you, fear him. Are not 5 sparrows sold for 2 farthings, and not one of them forgot before Elohim? Even the very hairs of your head are all numbered. Fear not, therefore, you are more valuable than many sparrows. Also I say unto you, whosoever shall confess me before men, him shall the Son of Man also confess before the Malachim of Elohim. But he that denied me before men shall be denied before the Malachim of Elohim. First Thessalonians chapter 4, back in chapter 1. Ain't gonna be in First Thessalonians. I just need to read it. I just need to read it. 4 and 13. He said, but I would not have you be ignorant, brethren, concerning them which are asleep, that you sorrow not, even as others which have no hope. For if we believe that Yahushua died and rose again, even so them also which sleep in Yahushua will Elohim bring with him. We shouldn't be out here as people who ain't got no hope. We ain't got no business out here sorrowing. We only sorrow for people when they die because we know they're going to hell. If they ain't serve Yahuwah, you know they're going to hell. That's why you're sad. If you know the word, that's why you're sad. Yeah, you may be sad because you're not going to see them again, but if you know that they ain't serve Yahuwah, you know for sure you're not going to see them again. And if you do, you're going to hate them when you see them. That was the worst. Nahum chapter 1, because you're going to see him in that lake where the worm dies not, the fire shall not be quenched. And he said, all eyes that see you shall be abhorring. You shall be abhorring. So it's not my personal preference, thought, or anything of that fashion. That's what it's saying. Take that up with him, because I ain't got nothing to do with it. Nevertheless. So that's who's going to be able to stand. But look at what he said in verse 7, let you know what type of man he is. YAHUAH, this is Nahum chapter 1, verse 7. YAHUAH is good, a stronghold in the day of trouble, and he knows them that trust in him. You better know he do. What did Yahushua tell you in the 6th chapter of John? He said he knows those that believe not. He already knows. He knows who believe in him. He knows those that don't. He knows those that trust in him. He knows those that don't. So in that day of trouble, and that day of darkness and gloominess, and that day of YAHUAH, he a stronghold. You know those who trust in him and they ain't worried. They're not concerned. Listen what he said, but with an overflowing flood will he make an utter end of the place thereof, and darkness shall pursue his enemies. What do you imagine against YAHUAH? He will make an utter end. Affliction shall not rise up the second time. Well, let's pause. Darkness pursuing his enemies is the beast. Because I'm up against the time. So if you will permit, we'll come back and read all the precepts. But y'all know, Revelation 17, what did they imagine against it? They imagine to go to war with the Lamb. You know, from Revelation 19, they went to war with the Lamb. He smashed and crashed all of them. Darkness pursued them, because now you can get a greater understanding what's in Zechariah 14, what we read in Revelation 6, which is in Isaiah 34, which is in Joel chapter 3, about when he made it go dark, because darkness is symbolic of death. So he's showing you that death is going to pursue these people. Why does he say affliction shall not rise up the second time? Because it told you that there would be a time of trouble that has never been seen since there was a nation. And if it wasn't for the elect's sake, no flesh shall be saved. Men are indiscriminately telling people we in Jacob's trouble, in the time of trouble, and they foolish and lack understanding, because they will not have the people prepared for what's going to occur. Because that trouble that is going to come when this little horn makes war with the saints and overcome them is going to be a level of persecution that you could not even fathom in your mind. I'm trying to tell you, according to this word, what is going to happen to us is not something that you can even fathom in your mind. Why did he say affliction won't rise up the second time? Because we've already read over this. Because when Gog and Magog rise up after Mashiach done delivered us and brought us back into the land, and we dwell without gates, resting in our tents, he said, that's why he smashed them and crashed them. He done already made that promise. Y'all not going to be afflicted a second time. He said what he said. He meant what he said. Let's continue. He said, for they will be folded together as thorns, and while they are drunken as drunkards, they shall be devoured as stubble fully dry. There's one that come out of you that imagine evil against YAHUAH, a wicked counselor. Thus saith YAHUAH, though they be quiet, likewise many, yet thus shall they be cut down. And when he shall pass through, though I have afflicted you, I will afflict you no more. For now I will break his yoke from off you and burst your bonds in sunder. And YAHUAH have given a commandment concerning you, that no more of your name be sown out of the house of your gods will I cut off the graven image and the molten image. I will make your grave, for you are foul. Behold, upon the mountains the feet of him that bring good tidings, that publish shalom. O Yahuwah, keep your solemn feast, perform your vows, for the wicked shall no more pass through you. He is utterly cut off. Notice how he says that though they be quiet, that there's one that come out of you that imagine evil against Yahuwah. And that's the beast as well. And we're focusing on that because this is him talking about destroying the house of the proud. This is the beast as well, a wicked counselor who's imagining the evil against Yahuwah. It's only one person in the text that is singly focused on imagining evil against Yahuwah. But notice what he said, behold upon the feet of him that brings the tidings that publish peace. That's in the book of Isaiah, referring to the Lord. You know that it tells you that his foot will stand upon the Mount of Olives. He shall be published in Shalom to all of his saints. And that's why he mentioned that solemn feast, because there's tabernacles, which will lead us. That's what we call a segue to God willing what we'll deal on the Shabbat, with him establishing the border of the widow. So, hallelujah for Yahushua the word. I appreciate everybody's time this evening. Bless everybody out in the house of Yahuwah in the name of Yahushua, man. Prayerfully, the word of Yahuwah resonates in our minds and hearts continually, that we let him dwell in our hearts by faith, and that we continually strive for righteousness and to stand forth to be Kadash all the days of our life. Yahuwah willing, yeah, we have Regency. And, there's no need to have no fear. The house of the proud to be destroyed. It was something that I was going to get on that. Y'all willing, I get on the spot. It's like 3 to 4 different angles that we could do with that half to bring forth understanding. Second half is probably the half we're waiting for. That's for the widow. That's the fun part, because that's salvation. You know what I'm saying? Multiple levels salvation. You know what I'm saying? Salvation of the people from the hand of your enemies. Salvation of the people from the land of their enemies. Salvation of the people from death. Don't get no better than the last, which is being saved from death. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes we lose focus on that because we're so ready to get away from these people, and understandably so, without question. But never lose focus on what the work the Lord actually came to do, which was to deliver us from death. Because to deliver us from our enemies is nothing. That's a small thing. You know what I'm saying? He did not have to physically manifest himself to do that. He had done that numerous times before. You can read that all through the book of Judges. Nehemiah, the 9th chapter, will tell you about that. Him delivering us from our enemies. You know what I'm saying? He never physically manifested himself to deliver us from the hand of the heathen. But his love towards us, to physically manifest himself, to destroy the house of the proud, meaning because Yahushua took on our sins, that he became the proud, and he destroyed that house to build it up in 3 days, because he was able to humble himself even unto death, so that we could be free from death. We need to focus on that just a tad bit more, because that's the most important part of the play. That's why those who don't believe in Mashiach always scream, well, he didn't deliver us from captivity. What did he do? Because that's all where our minds are focused at. Because you think that that's all there was to the power. But the captivities that you were in were just emblematic of you being captive to sin. You were a slave to that. That's why he say you serve your enemies. So you were serving your enemy, which is death, because you were serving sin. That's what you were supposed to take from that once the Lord came and he told you that he that commits sin is the servant of sin. Because every time you committed sin, he sold you into the hand of sinners for you to serve them. And you don't click, that doesn't click in your mind. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't click in your mind. And now, as I've matured over time, especially looking at what I just mentioned with owner, that's why I can look at that and say, okay, the only owner that I ever gave acknowledgement to was Elohim. Because in Isaiah 26, he's made we've been under servitude of other lords, but we've only made mention of your name. Because see, that's the thing why you don't want to mention that slave narrative all the time. Because then all it is going to keep them a slave to sin. They'll never think they can be free. Because if you don't think you can be free from man, then you ain't going to think you're going to be free from sin and free from ungodly desires. So you'll always be in bondage to it. If you let him and you free and liberate a man's mind, then you know that he can free and liberate his soul from the things that shackle him. And that the only person that he should be a slave to is a Mashal. The book tell you, as a man thinketh, so is he. That's why I say you put the word in your heart and in your inward parts. If you think like Elohim, then you'll be like Elohim. That's why that Apostle John say, don't let nobody tell you you ain't righteous. Whoever does righteousness is righteous, even as he is righteous, in referring to the Lord. why he tell you to renew your mind. That's why he tell you this. Stuff. The word is simple. It's not complex. Things seem deep because we don't have those conversations. But these things are not deep. In all honesty, they're not. They are very simple. They're very easily to be entreated. It's the fact that we don't want to do them. We don't want to do them because it's a reflection of the things of ourselves that we do not care to discuss, we do not care to look at, and things that we do not care to eliminate because it will cause us to have to make sacrifices. It will cause us to have to execute self-control. It will cause us to have to be self-aware and honest with self. And most of the time, we just don't want to, because that's work. And most people are scared of work. They're lazy. That's why he speaks about the slothful and the fashion, and he speaks of them in the book of Proverbs. And if you want to attain eternal salvation, you cannot be lazy. You got to get up and you got to do what you got to do. That's why the Lord said, am I not supposed to be about my Father's business? I ain't got no time to sit around here. You understand? Praise the Lord. Yahuwah is worthy to be praised and esteemed at all times, forever and always, as long as there's breath in your lungs. You can't praise him in the grave, so you ought to praise him while you're here. You know what I'm saying? It's point blank, period. Praise him while you're here. You know what I'm saying? Lay your life for him. He laid his life down for you. The least you could do is live for him. He ain't asking for much. All the stuff that we desire to do, we ain't getting no gain or profit from it no way. You know what I'm saying? So you might as well. You've been doing it your way to the entire time you served, until you came to serve the Lord, and you see they ain't get you nowhere. So nevertheless, again, blessing everybody in the house of Yahuwah, name of Yahuwah. I appreciate everybody's time, man. Yahuwah willing, on the Shabbat, we keep it rolling. Continue to, if Yahuwah permit, to give us more insight into things that are necessary for the deliverance of our soul. And again, peace, blessings, and salvation be extended to everybody through the gospel of Yahushua HaMashiach. Yahuwah willing, to the next time.